Welcome to Quiltripping Travel with Rose, a Big Blend radio podcast featuring award-winning travel writer and photographer Rose Palmer. Welcome, everyone. We are so excited because, Rose takes us on her quilt tripping adventures around the world and across the country. And today she is calling in from a cruise while she's on a Christmas market cruise. She's doing this with Riverside Cruises on the Debussy ship. Is that right? Am I saying this correctly, Rose? Because
yes.
I like to give everybody new names and a new language.
I think Debussy sounds right.
And this has to do with the music of Debussy, right?
Yes.
How they named their ships.
So Riverside owns 5 ships, and they're all named after European composers. So there's a Mozart, there is a Ravel, there's a Debussy, there's a Mahler, and a Bach.
Ooh. I want to go on the Mahler.
Okay.
All right. I'll go on all of them, you know that. But this is so cool because I know it's so interesting over the years talking with you on all these different cruises. And now you're out in the cold. I know, you're from Pennsylvania, so it's not as cold. Is it as cold as Pennsylvania this time of year? Where you are?
It's a little cooler than it is back home right now, but I did grow up in Chicago, so this isn't too bad.
Oh, Christmas in Chicago got some craziness in snow over the years.
It used to back in the day, but it's warmed up there too. But so we've had temperatures, and when we started in Amsterdam, temperatures were in the mid to upper 40s and raining the first day or two. And now we're about halfway through our cruise down the Rhine River in Germany. And it's, I think it was a high of 39 today, but it was a dry 39. So it really didn't feel that cold. And, what I was told when I was in Norway is that there's no such thing as bad weather, just bad clothes. Mm-hmm. So as long as, I was bundled up and it was great. It really doesn't feel that cold.
But I hear that you're having a lot of warm wine, a little mulled wine here and there. So you're staying warm, aren't you?
Well, of course. So one of the trademarks of the Christmas markets is Glühwein, which is their version of a mulled wine. And each little kiosk has its own version and own recipe and its own mugs. So each mug is different. And, I'm doing my duty and trying as many as I can.
It sounds like you're having fun then. How many mugs do you have? Because don't you get the mug to keep it as a souvenir?
I thought that you did. And what I'm learning on this trip is that that's optional. So you pay for the Glühwein and then you put down an extra couple of euros deposit for the mug. And then you can either choose to return the mug and get your euros back, or you can choose to keep the mug. At this point, actually, I've got 2 mugs because I didn't want to keep all of them because I have so many mugs already.
How do you pack that in the suitcase and all of that kind of
stuff?
Exactly.
But these were just too cute. They were little snowmen mugs. Mm-hmm. And I got them here today in Dusseldorf with the Glühwein, and they're going to be perfect at home when the grandsons come over, and I give them some hot chocolate at Christmas time. So
no Glühwein for them.
No Glühwein for them. Just hot chocolate.
No. Well, this I love the fact that the night before your podcast airs, and you're on. I mean, it's late there right now. I mean, this podcast is airing pretty much 24 hours from now and a little, so I love that you're mid journey and we get to do this and you're from a cruise ship, usually internet on a cruise ship to be able to have a Zoom chat like this and record a podcast. It is not a thing that normally works, but it's working. So I think we should just give a shout out that internet's working for this, right?
It's working great. Exactly. It's working great. The advances in internet have been amazing in the last couple of years, even on my ocean going trips. If the company has a contract and they're using Starlink, I have not had any issues connecting
Wow.
and to the internet and to my website or sending you emails or processing photos or whatever. But
Well,
it is pretty cool. I mean, here I am on the river, halfway through my cruise down the Rhine River, and so I'm doing this essentially live, telling you about what
yeah.
my journey and my experiences are like, and I think that's a lot of fun. I find that
It,
fun.
it's awesome. We've also got Rose's articles up on blendradioandtv.com. The link is in the episode notes. Also the link for the cruise company, which is riverside-cruises.com. Check that out. I love this. I love that we're mid-journey and, because, we travel full time, so we're always somewhere different. So we're in the complete opposite as we record this. We're in Phoenix, Arizona in the desert. So completely 100% opposite of what you're doing. It is a little chilly though today. What is it like in regards to the view from your room? Because it looks like this river cruise is pretty swanky. Like it looks clean, spacious,
Ooh, oh,
luxurious, and not over
very,
fluffy though. It's very
no,
kind of like you can be comfortable, you know?
very comfortable. So, Riverside's goal has been or is to become the kind of ultimate high-end luxury European river cruise brand. And to give you an example, the ship I'm on, the Debussy, is standard size for the Rhine River because they all have to be within a certain length and width to fit within the locks. About a little under 450 feet long. For this ship, we have 55 suites. Other ships that are this same size for other companies might have almost double that. So a maximum of 110 guests on this ship. Other ships might have 150, almost 200. So we're talking much bigger rooms. They do call their cabins as suites because of their size. And great staff to guest ratio, so almost 2-to-1. So for every 2 guests, there's 1 staff. And this is a first for me. Each room comes with a butler. So we have.
Wait a minute.
I know.
Wait.
I know.
Does this mean like wine on demand? Like,
yes.
Can that happen?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Cheese too?
Yep. Cheese, wine,
chocolate,
midnight snack, chocolate.
No.
Yep. This morning I was feeling a little tired because I had a late night last night, finishing up my writing and my photos, and I just didn't really feel like walking the 30 feet to the dining room.
Walking the plank?
walking out to the dining room. So I just asked, would you mind please bringing me a pot of tea and a croissant? And 5 minutes later, I had my pot of wonderful Earl Grey tea and my little basket of croissant, and I was sitting there looking at the water going by.
So you can see the water from your bed, like from your room. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you don't, because you talked about this in your article about not doing the balcony this time because it's a little chilly for a balcony anyway. Like,
right.
But you are still enjoying that. Like, I can watch the world go by from bed.
Oh,
like. Every time you come on a show, you're really starting to like direct me into the cruise world. You are.
What I really love about my cabin, besides the fact that it's so roomy and it has a king size bed, is the floor to ceiling, wall to wall window that is in front of the bed. So,
wow.
Half the top part of the window opens out if I want some fresh air. And so, I can sit there and look at the scenery go by as I'm drinking my coffee in the morning.
Yeah, I'm calling the butler for wine and cheese and chocolate.
That's tomorrow.
Tea, coffee, croissants. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But now, what's the food like on this ship?
Oh my God, it is.
Yeah,
it's fantastic. So I just came back from a chef's table type dinner, a 5-course specialty dinner that they prepared for our group, and it's got to be the best meal I've ever had, just in terms of presentation and the attention to detail and the taste and the wine pairings that went with it. It was incredible, and I'll send you a few photos that you can add to the collection.
Oh boy. Like, what are you going to do just to make us jealous? Like, she comes, she's on a cruise ship having a view, having this fancy dinner, gets on a podcast because now you can,
Exactly.
and I'm sitting here in the desert with wine because I've also just finished a wine podcast. So, everybody, you're having a really good show today. Just saying. No, and actually I do love the desert, but this to me is magical because, when we think about Christmas, like, Nancy and I lived in Tucson, we lived on the equator in Kenya and in South Africa, Christmas is a little warm, and actually we all just used to go to the beach. So, getting that feeling of Christmas was when we moved to England, we got like excited, and unfortunately it actually didn't snow that much when we were there. We did get some snow, which I was like, what is this? As a little kid, but, it was significantly different for me. I know, Chicago, definitely a Christmas city in this country, very iconic. Pennsylvania too, but like being in Europe for Christmas, especially Germany and in that area, like stepping off the ship and it's a small ship, right? We should just tell people that too.
It is considered a small ship, yes, with only 100 guests on it. I consider it a small ship.
That's a small ship. That's perfect.
Right.
That's
Right.
perfect. So you get off and now you're in these historic, just the architecture alone to me and the way the streets are in Europe. This is the ultimate of Christmas, isn't it? Like, if you're going to celebrate Christmas, this is the epic epicenter of it all.
Especially in Germany. And so what's interesting is before I came here, I didn't have time to do a lot of research. And I just assumed that the Netherlands would be very similar and that, they would have all the Christmas markets. And so that I could spend some time before the cruise going to see the Christmas markets in the Netherlands and then get on the cruise and, see them in Germany. Well, it turns out that they're actually not that big into either Christmas or Christmas markets. They do have some, but they don't really get going until mid-December. So they're really not getting going until this coming weekend, the ones that they have. And when they do have them, they might only last for the weekend. But they're really much more into what they call Sinterklaas or St. Nicholas. Mm-hmm. And that's what they celebrate more, which is on December 5th, December 6th. So we were actually in Amsterdam when they were celebrating this, and we were doing a day trip to the nearby town of Delft just to see the weekly market. And as we're walking around the market, all of a sudden St. Nicholas comes by on a horse with his attendants, going around talking to the children, asking them if they've been good and whether they deserve their gifts, that night. So it was really an interesting I guess kind of awakening to realize that the Netherlands celebrated completely different. And then now I'm on the boat, and we just crossed into Germany late the day before yesterday in the evening from the Netherlands as we're cruising down the Rhine, and now we are in the typical Christmas market, Christmas tradition that we all kind of think of when we think of Christmas markets with the huts and the glühwein and the brats and the potato pancakes and the little craft stalls and the Christmas holiday music, Christmas music. They're in the historic core of these towns. So
wow.
Yeah. So today we were in Düsseldorf, which is a smaller city on the Rhine River. And in the morning we had a historic walk, which kind of took us through the old town, and the guide, explained to us the different things that we were seeing and their relevance and all that. And then this afternoon we had a food tour, which included the Christmas markets and tasting some of the different foods available in the Christmas markets and in town. So that's one of the things I've really enjoyed about this cruise in particular, and about the excursions that Riverside is offering. And this is my first experience on a European river cruise, so I really have no other other sense of comparison. But what I'm really enjoying is that, yes, it's a quote unquote Christmas market cruise, because that's what's going on right now, especially in Germany, along the rivers, along the Rhine. But they're also offering excursions to experience other aspects of the places we're visiting.
That's cool.
So here's one that I think you'll appreciate, because you do a lot of veteran type of podcasts, right? And stories and articles. So in our first stop in the Netherlands, in the town of, and I'm always going to pronounce this wrong, Nijmegen, which is not how it's spelled. We did a excursion to the nearby town, and we went to see the bridge that was the story, or that was the star of the movie A Bridge Too Far, and that was the bridge that they were trying to take in Operation Market Garden. If I don't know if you covered that in any of your magazines and articles.
Right.
And so our guide, told us all about this particular battle and what happened, and why the one bridge, they could take the one bridge, but the other one they couldn't. And so, it isn't just Christmas markets. It's sort of the whole big picture.
I love that.
That we're passing through the area we're passing through.
I always think that is so important, that with what these cruises, of what you've done, is you always bring in some nature, right? Food, nature, and history. You always bring those three things back. And she wants to do it comfortably. Thank you.
Yeah, well, yeah.
With a little wine and, some pairings and,
Why not?
But this history, Europe's history, America's going through its own history now, and we're so young.
Right.
Other than, our indigenous people are the elders of our land. And so their history runs deep. But it's also interesting just looking at, Europe and going to Amsterdam and the Netherlands, and, how, even when you think about, people escaping or leaving England, not necessarily escaping, going for, religious freedom, they went to Holland first. They had to go to Holland to come here. And that's an interesting thing. Like now, you're cruising, through, but this history is so fascinating, right? And then we have all this military history, which is difficult to swallow.
It is.
But so necessary. If we could just push a button and say no war anywhere, I'd be pushing that button so darn fast. But apparently humans do things. So, that, requires.
And it's still real.
What's going on?
For, one thing that has really struck me with, each tour that we've done, we've had a different guide in each of their locations. And inevitably, at some point something comes up with, oh, yes, well, 80% of this church was bombed and it was rebuilt. Or the one guide in Nijmegen that took us on the tour was telling us about how the Netherlands was the longest occupied country in Europe, and eventually gave us the date of when the town was finally liberated by the Americans. And he looks at our group, which was all American, and just said, thank you. So it's still very much a part of their lives. And so it's very, I find it interesting as I'm doing this trip that, yes, it's great food. It's really good wine. It's extremely comfortable accommodations. But at the same time, the this cruise is exposing me to aspects of history and aspects of the culture that I would not easily get on my own.
That's pretty interesting because you're doing a Christmas market cruise, right? So people wouldn't think this. And at the same time, like, yeah, you're dealing with all these, dealing with different places, right? Different cities, you're cruising through. How much research are you going to do to be able to find out about these excursions? And, we all do that. We, as travel writers, research, and then sometimes, like you say, it's like, let's just go and see what happens and follow the trail, and see where it takes us. It's, sometimes you don't know everything in history of what to look for. Right. And that is the thing. That's why we do what we do. All of us is, it's like, constantly learning. And when you go places, you hear about history that we didn't get when we were in school or college, actually, for that matter, unless you're going to specialize in it, right? And so that's the thing. And when you go to these very historic places where blood was shed, death has occurred over war, doesn't it kind of really make you want peace on earth? When we get back to the Christmas markets and all of that, we do want that.
Of course.
Joy to the world, peace on earth. And it's heavy history, but I think we always have to face this heavy history and wrestle with it because humans did it and it's going to be part of our ancestry in there somewhere, right? And wrestle with it, but then try to fix things. You don't understand the severity until you're in it. And the only other way is to actually visit these places, I think. There's other ways, I suppose, read about it and all that, but music, art, film, but in all of that writing, what we do is try to expose people to these things. But when you go there, that's the ultimate of understanding. I mean, when I was in high school, Rose, I wasn't doing well in history, yet I loved history. I read historical novels since I was like 8, 9 years old. I read, like War and Peace at that time, all of it. Like I was voracious. This was my food, and obviously I didn't understand everything. I had to reread, and now I don't even know anything. It's like too much information for my elder brain now. But as a kid, Nancy and I went on the road in South Africa for 1.5 years, 2 years, 2.5 years. I don't know what it was, but with our art, we went to every park. We went to all these historic sites, and I was studying the Zulu Wars with the British and everything, and went to Ishlawanda Rock, and I saw all these mass graves, and I was at the age to start understanding what a mass grave would be. Nameless, white little rocks that were whitewashed, like these little whitewashed rocks piled. All these people died. I went to Mshlanga Rock where Shaka Zulu and all of this stuff happened, and suddenly I became like this little historian. And, I was on the road and studied on the road. I was a road scholar, but not a road scholar. And when I went back to school, suddenly my worst subject became what I graduated in, was history and top honors. And that was because of travel and understanding and empathy and, I think that, when you think about what you're doing on this cruise, it's Christmas market, it's fun, it's cultural, new traditions that are really old traditions, but maybe new for you, maybe new for people on the cruise.
Yes.
But this other serious history is lingering to remind you to enjoy, but also kind of pay respect. Does that make sense? And the importance of going.
And I think that's in that regard, I have a lot of respect for what Riverside has doing and what they've put together in terms of the choices for the excursions in each of the towns, because, it isn't just, okay, we're docked here, go off on your own and go, have fun in the Christmas market. They've made a conscious effort. They spent a lot of time looking around, finding the guides, coming up with meaningful things to learn about and to see on these excursions that, again, I would not have necessarily been able to easily either find on my own or do on my own. And so it's really been a pleasure for me to just come, get on the ship, and just say, yeah, I want to do this, and this excursion, and then just let them take care of everything and be surprised and inspired by what we've done versus, when I'm doing a trip on my own and all the research and everything that goes into it, as you know. So, it's been
That's
very
cool.
enjoyable because I'm getting the history, which I love, and then obviously all the other benefits that go along with being on a beautiful luxury river ship, and then the Christmas markets, which are unique to this part of the world, and all the traditions and that go with them, and the food and the drinks and the games. The one today had a huge, beautiful Ferris wheel. The one we were at yesterday had a couple
Wow.
of rides for kids. Each little market clearly has its own personality, and so just being in the market itself is a cultural experience because each town is different, and that's so you see that expressed in how the market is laid out, in the types of vendors that are there, the look of the little houses or huts and how they're decorated. So it's been a lot of fun in many, many ways. Highly
Well,
recommend it.
so is it when you talk about these markets, I mean, obviously they know they've got travelers coming in, right? So there's the
Um,
tourism side of it, but
Presumably, yeah, I would
but
assume.
is this mostly like, yeah, this is how it's done for the community, like, and then
Um,
they're
I think so. I mean, that's kind of the impression. And so we have not gone to the really big town markets, and that's another thing I really appreciate about this itinerary is that Riverside seems like they've really again gone out of their way to try and offer unique Christmas market experiences. So rather than going to the big cities along the Rhine that maybe most of the companies might do, we're sticking to the more, the smaller towns that are, that most of the ships don't really seem to come to. So we were in Duisburg yesterday and in Dusseldorf today. And I do get the sense that the markets in general, at least in these two towns, have been set up for the local community. We were walking through it this afternoon, sort of at the end of the workday, near dinner time ish, and you had people stopping at the Wurst little kiosk and buying a bratwurst, and then some others were stopping at the potato pancake hut and getting a couple of pancakes to have as a snack to tide them over. And yeah, they were definitely locals, and of course, I also heard other English being spoken, and there were clearly people that were also tourists. But it is the middle of the week, so yeah, I think definitely seems to be set up very much for the local community, and then the rest of us get to kind of tag along and enjoy it with them.
oh, that's cool. So where do you go from here? Like, what's the next? I mean, I know you're going to go to bed because you've had this big dinner and all this wine, done a podcast, done the article, gotten a lot of photos. I mean, it's been a few days, right? Of getting this, making this all
So
happen for the podcast. And, and I think it's just
tomorrow
great
we're
that you're doing it.
cruising through the most famous part of the Rhine River, which kind of is what everybody thinks of when they think of the Rhine River, which is the Rhine River Gorge. And this is, if you see photos of riverboats going on the Rhine, more than likely this is where they were photographed, and this is where all the castles are. And I think there's something like 40 castles.
Oh, wow. 40 castles? 40.
producing because it's winter. So that's what we're going tomorrow, and then we're ending the day in the town of Rudesheim, which is apparently is known for its white wines, because it's in the heart of the wine country. And we'll be doing a little excursion to one of the winemakers to learn about how they make the wine and to do some tastings, of course. And then we have time for the Christmas market afterwards.
Wow.
And then after that, we go to Mannheim, which is another town on the Rhine River, and Mainz, which is also another town on the Rhine River. And again, we'll see some of the Christmas markets, and I'm sure learn more about the history of these other locations. And then we end in Frankfurt on Saturday.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I think your life is pretty darn cool. I love it. I love it. I think this is fantastic. And for folks to know to plan for next year, when do you think they should start looking to plan? Because these things must sell out. I mean, there's only so many ships, so many rooms, right?
Right.
So,
as soon as possible, probably, if they think that it's something that they're interested in doing, next holiday season, reach out to the folks at Riverside and put their name on the list. Because with only 55 cabins per boat.
Yeah, wow. That's awesome.
The holiday season doesn't last long.
Yeah.
So it's limited. So I would say do it as soon as possible.
And listen, the dessert pictures that you sent, and then what was that? Bacon wrapped? Oh,
bacon wrapped veal. That was our first night's dinner. So you were asking me about the food. So I just came from this wonderful meal, which was a special meal that they do for groups. But just the regular meals have been fantastic. So breakfast and lunch are buffets. And normally I'm not a fan of a buffet, but these are really, really good, because it's a buffet like you would put a buffet out for your family, where you make a bunch of dishes, it's all fresh, you put it out there, and then they help themselves. And that's exactly what they do here. It's all freshly made, and there's a ton of choices for every taste, every dietary need, every possible allergy requirements. And then they'll also, both at breakfast and lunch, prepare fresh items. So at breakfast you can have omelets or eggs Benedict or waffles or pancakes. And then at lunch there'll be, fresh pasta or fresh seafood that they can grill up for you, or, along with, like yesterday, there was at lunch there was a really good prime rib and roasted potatoes. So really really good food. And then dinner is a la carte, with a menu and different items on the menu that you can choose from. So
very nice.
Their food has been really really good, and from everything I've read before coming on board, they're really lauded for the quality of the food that they present.
I love that. Because to me, if you're going to be on there, I want that. It's like it completes the experience. If you're on a beautiful cruise ship and you're in a beautiful suite looking at the river and you have a butler, you better have the food to back it up. So I'm just saying, that's it. I mean, you have a butler. Rose has a butler. I mean, how do you call the butler? Do you ring a bell? What do you do?
No. So he has a WhatsApp number.
No way. This is cool.
We can WhatsApp him. So for instance, if we're out and we decide that we want to have a hot coffee or hot tea waiting for us when we get back, we could WhatsApp him, and it'll be waiting for us. Or we could call the front, the guest services, and ask for something, and then the butler will take care of it. So as an example,
any good cocktails that like the butler could have in your room for when you arrive that would be
Yeah,
like
yeah,
regional or
yeah. Yeah, they probably could. The bar has a whole menu of all sorts of interesting cocktails. I'm sure if I decided I wanted to have one waiting for me, they would be happy to accommodate. Yes, yes.
I'm just saying, Rose, push that button on the WhatsApp.
Okay, I'll give that a try.
Oh, we want to know. We want to see. I kind of feel
Okay.
like we could have just done a whole story on what the butler brings to Rose.
Um,
I remember the TV show Mr. Belvedere. She's got a Mr. Belvedere at her door. That's awesome. That's
um,
no, but that's luxury. You know what? It is about, actually having room service and things like that, Um, yeah,
and
it's nice to
that's a
relax a
perfect.
bit once in a while. Yeah.
Yes, it is. And the having a butler is just the kind of the ultimate example of the attention to detail that I'm finding here on this cruise with Riverside. Just the little things. For example, the waiters at in the dining room wear white gloves. When they're serving you. Um,
Mm.
just the boat
Wow.
is
No,
decorated for
like
the
wow.
holiday. Yeah, I know. Um,
So wait, do we have to be dressed up as the guests? Like how dressed up do we have to be?
oh,
Or
it's
this is
smart
an important
casual.
question, actually. Like
It
what do
is,
you pack?
So they just suggest for dinner smart casual. So I just have a nice pair of slacks and a nice top.
Yeah,
And then during the day, it's going out and about type
with
clothes.
jackets and yeah.
Um,
Okay.
yeah. So
Okay.
not
All
not super
not over the
formal.
top.
No,
Yeah.
no, not at
Okay, good. They can have the gloves and we can be in our slacks that need to have elastic, apparently.
another nice element to this Christmas market cruise, because there's Christmas tree on each floor that's decorated. There's also decorations on the ship just has really also added to that feeling of holiday festiveness.
Mm,
Is that a word?
that's
Festive?
Festivus. No,
Festivities.
Festivus is a holiday on its own from Seinfeld.
Festiveness, festivities, yeah.
Festivus for the rest of us. No, festive feelings. How about that?
Right,
We're feeling
right.
festive.
Festive feelings.
Festive fun. Yeah. But
Festive fun.
festive is for the rest of us, not the ones on the cruise ship. Rose, it has been great to have you back on, and I love this. I mean, what a way to really kick off your podcast. The first one, we got to know you. Obviously you've been on the shows, and there's some archived episodes from Rose being on Big Blend Radio. But every second Thursday, she's here on Big Blend Radio. And the first one, we thought, hey, let's find out how she became a travel writer, going from the world of science to travel. So, the way we drink wine, she may be a little different with a science background, but and she's amazing with her photography, her writing is amazing.
Aw, thank
So
you.
we love this. And so the second one, she goes, well, I know we had this planned, but can I do this from a cruise ship? And we're like, yeah, let's go for it. Let's do it. Let's see what happens. I mean, we've been doing live radio show for years, podcasting live, not like radio, but, and we've done it I've done shows out of a bathroom in a motel outside Yosemite National Park. Historic motel that was haunted, and haunted
Oh,
things happen. We've had people, yes, a ghost come on a podcast once. Oh no, all kind. I mean, you can't even imagine it. So when she's like, I want to record from this, I know it's cutting it real close because it's less than 24 hours before it airs. And we're like, oh, we're doing this. Nancy and I get all like, we miss our live stuff, and what could go wrong? Let's do it. And so it's really great to hear your voice and hear you so happy and in the middle of the experience, right? I love to hear that. And this is so much fun. Enjoy the rest of it because, it seems like a really nice way to close out a very crazy year, to have all these different insights and wonderful food, the wine, the service, the views, the history that brings us to reality, right? But
Yes,
the
yes.
Christmas markets that want you to buy everything. Ha ha! I wonder what's happening with your luggage coming home. But really, it's a beautiful way to close the year off and have a little bit of peace and joy, you know? So, thank you for bringing that to your audience, our audience, and let's all go into the new year with something of joy. And we can't wait for the next episode, Rose. I don't know where you're going to be now. Now we may have to, like, you can't do it
Well,
from
it will
home
be
anymore
hard.
now.
It'll be hard to top this one, but
I
I'm,
know.
you know,
Good
I'll
job.
try and bring you some other good stories and photos. But
Yes,
yes,
we're
thank
going
you
to do national parks
for
next month, everybody. A lot of good stuff coming to kick off the new year. So stay tuned. Keep up with Rose at quiltripping.com and also bigblendradio.com. We're all here. We can't wait for every second Thursday here with Rose. Take care and enjoy the rest of your cruise.
happy holidays, Merry Christmas. It's been fun.
Thank you for joining us for Quiltripping Travel with Rose, a Big Blend radio podcast featuring award-winning travel writer and photographer Rose Palmer. Join us for new episodes every second Thursday and keep up with Rose at quiltripping.com and follow us at bigblendradio.com.